Hey there, fellow duplicants, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included, the Frosty Planet, Episode 13, Excavate. The first thing I want you guys to do, you early birds, is to vote on the next project. So I can either explore using the suit checkpoint that we've built. I can build a research laboratory. I could build a great hall so that we eat meals nicer. Build a recreation room, build a nature reserve. Capture chlorine. So the purpose of capturing chlorine would be for the ore scrubbers, so that the ore scrubbers can operate properly if we do run into germs. I could also start using the slush geyser. It's over here. And I could theoretically dig up the slush geyser and then have it start to pool its liquid before I even use it for the pool. Or, alternatively, I could continue working on the water storage. So the last project that we were working on was trying to set up water storage for the base, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to continue that. I am thinking that this living area might be a little undersized. So in the process of adding water storage, we could also potentially do other things like expand it. And before that, it looks like we have some cosmetic blueprints. Gloves. Oh, a weepy blue refrigerator. Okay, nifty. So see what you guys think. I also have some unspent skills. They're unspent just because we don't have an excess of morale, or like, I just don't need them to necessarily be taking new skills up. So we'll leave those be. Alright, seems to me like the Alveil Vera are working just fine, although we do have a few entombed Alveil Vera here that could be freed up. It looks to me like building water storage is still the popular choice, but you got another 30 seconds to vote on that, and I'd like to consider what that project will look like in completion. I might, and this might sound crazy, but I might end up not trying to, at least for now, I might not try to vacuum seal this outer chamber, because if we wanted to expand the chamber, I'd have to do it from the inside, but we don't have a suit dock for that, so it's going to be easier for me to just let atmosphere go back into this air gap while I work on this project. Alright, so slush and water storage. Water storage being the priority. Okay. So, what I was just saying was, I don't feel like this base is going to be big enough. I feel like we're going to outgrow it pretty quickly. I mean, inside here, we don't necessarily have to have, everything in the base be heated. Like, you could have a great hall. In fact, there might even be an argument to be made that it's probably ideal to have your refrigerator where your food is kept not be in a warm part of your base. That way you don't actually have to run a refrigerator. But my point is, looking at the base as it is now, we're definitely going to outgrow it pretty quickly. So, included in the goal of setting up the pool, I'd also like to, I would also like to expand the living quarter. And it's going to be a little destructive, but I think the first order of business is to just sort of strip mine out everything so that I have more room. So I'm just going to dig everything so it drops at the bottom, strip mining it out, so that this entire area can be either a water holding pool or the base. Now, I had thoughts about that, and my thoughts are as follows, which is that if we have a pool of water, initially the pool of water is probably going to need to be heated in order for it not to freeze over. But eventually it's going to be a really good a really good way to act as like a heat sink And depending on the temperature we keep it at, we can have our power generators dump its heat into the water. Because it's very easy to raise or lower the temperature of the water given that the surrounding biomes are all very frozen. So, I was trying to think of ways of if we are to add a pool, how to make the pool useful. And one would be to drop our excess heat into it. And then two would be to circulate the water, potentially when we have a washroom for plumbing, to circulate the water that comes off of the plumbing. So whenever you've like flush a toilet or whatever, to have that water have the proper piping in order to move the heat of the water around the base so that the base is sort of the same temperature all around. So if we go to liquids here, in the radiant liquid pipe, these radiant liquid pipes are designed so that the temperature of the water bleeds into the surrounding environment, which would be very handy in sort of circulating the temperature in here so that it's all one temperature, so that we don't just like have a hot spot around the heat, the power generators, and like nothing else. Belhar and Glitch, thank you for the resub. And Steph as well, and Hippodas. Cheers. But yeah, I think what's going to end up happening is that this project is going to be really large and take a while because its scope is rather huge. But the benefits of having liquid water for both research and plumbing and for heat regulation is worth it. It's just going to take a bit of time in order to get it up and running, which is why I will I'll continually re-poll to make sure that it's the priority you guys want. Alright, so we're just digging away. It's pretty boring, but at least it's quick. And I guess while we're out here, we might as well just capture this mammoth and butcher it for meat. Or shear it and then butcher it for meat. Or if it's younger, then butcher the older ones for meat. So these guys are 18 years and 163 years. So the 163-year-old mammoth probably could be culled. But the younger one is fine. And then I'm also going to want to sweep up this mammoth egg, put it into the storage bin, and then we'll be able to incubate it once I sweep it up and then dump it out. We have got more quartz. Where do I want to put this? Maybe here? And the last snazzy suit's gonna go to Skeletor. So Sean and Skeletor have frost immunity, so I'm giving them snazzy suits instead, so they just make the area around them look nicer. So the new one is 149, the 163-year-old I'm gonna hunt for meat. Now there is some ice up here. You know, I think it's not convenient, but I think what I want to do is remove all of the non-abyssalite. Because any non-abyssalite in this area could very well end up melting and causing issues if not removed from this area. It makes the job take even longer, and I'm not excited about that. But it'd be a real shame if, like, the project we're working on created problems later on. I want to create solutions, not problems. All right. Skills. So Sean and Noblar are getting close to their morale limits. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to skill them up. Other than Skeldor, who is our newest. In fear that any additional skills are going to cause them stress, and I'd like to avoid negative stress responses. Alright, new printable. Let's take a look at that. More Bimini eggs, as if we needed them. A decorate, tidy, ranch, diver's lungs, iron gut, biohazard. I don't have a... I mean, hiding is great and all, but... I think I'm just going to go with the egg, only because we don't have, at the moment, room for additional sleepers. I mean, I could put a bed here, I suppose. And we don't have enough room for more of a mess hall. It'd be great if we had more space, and that's what we're working on. Oh! Yes. When I unentombed that, I also dug up all the aloe vera. That was a mistake. That's weird. I'm getting some, like, super delayed alert noises. The other thing that I had considered last stream was, we were running low on, wood. So I've been, sort of sweeping up all the phlox eggs and putting them in this new ranch. It's actually the last thing that we did was to set up yet another ranch. And I'm going to disable harvest for now. So the thing about that is we don't have food for ourselves anymore. We could, of course, rely upon calling Biminis for food or something like that. These guys are already cramped. That's crazy. I might go ahead and destroy some of these eggs. The oldest ones. Or the least incubated ones. So, let's see. I wonder if I can't move the egg next to the egg cracker so that I specify specifically what egg gets cracked. I don't think that's possible. Alternatively, I could put one of these eggs in like an incubator so as to protect it, but I don't really want to build an incubator. All right, we're almost done with the materials that need sweeping up top. And then I'll probably dismantle the ladder. All right. Yeah, we do end up having, like, a lot of carbon dioxide, which, you know, we'll have to deal with. The other thing I had thought about, actually, to that end, is using the carbon dioxide, dumping heat into it, through maybe aqua tuning and temp shift plates, and then, like, just dumping the carbon dioxide to space. That way the carbon dioxide can act as a heat deleter. I don't think that is what I'm gonna go with, but, like, that would be a possibility, potentially. Yeah, I see that I'm getting a little bit of food rot. We have so much food at the moment that I'm not at all concerned. Toilets. We're down to 1. Okay. You're just surprised with how cold it is? Yeah, the freezing temperatures doesn't stop rot, it just slows it down a lot. Oops. I didn't mean to drop the plume squash out. It used to be, like, a long time ago that, you could deep freeze things and, like, avoid an actual refrigerator, but then they nerfed that mechanic because it was... I think, honestly, it needed nerfing to some degree or another. So they nerfed that mechanic and made it so that you can't just, like, deep freeze things in non-oxygenated environments to avoid having to use mechanical freezers. You know, the same way that they changed it so that the deodorizers require power. Doesn't require a lot of power, but, you know, the fact that you have to power it up a little bit means that you don't get deodorizing for free. And a whole bunch of other changes like that. So I think in this case, because I'm not ready for the slush to come out, I'm going to leave the granite around the slush alone. Ooh, there is liquid carbon dioxide here. That's, unexpected? That's okay. It'll probably heat up and become a gas, and then we can turn into more oxygen. So at the moment, we are not really using a whole lot of power. Just a little bit of power for cooking and the like. And that means that we're not burning a lot of CO2 or burning a lot of wood so that our wood count can start climbing back up. Because that was a bit of a concern, is that our we were running low on wood. So I'll just keeping my eye on it. We even got so far as to replace all the beds from wood to granite to make sure that there wasn't going to be an issue like that. So yeah, it's barely breathable in this area, and there's also like -40, so it's quite cold too. So I'm not too worried about it like melting anytime soon, but it would be nice to have everything swept up so that I wouldn't have to worry about it going forward. I'm going to top up the gas reservoir oxygen tank so that we have plenty of oxygen for our suit wearers too. So now there's 5 phlox eggs in the bottom ranch. That's pretty good. Our ranches are messy as hell. That much is true. And then these bimini are cramped because there's eggs that have yet to get hauled away. 2 of them are pretty highly incubated. One's at 67, the other one's at 84. So we'll be able to switch out biminis or mammoths soon. I'm glad I had a lot of suits in the suit dock. We already have 3 people wearing suits. And I'm quite pleased that they are, like, quick in the suits, too. And then for the rest of this material, I'll exhume it from the bottom once we get to that tier. Let's keep breaking down these ladders, and then we'll work towards constructing probably the outer vacuum wall and then the inner vacuum wall. You guys have me take on some pretty mighty projects, don't you? Research has been sort of deprioritized, and there's not a lot of research that I would urgently need to use anyway. Too bad there isn't like a kind of like how RimWorld works. There isn't like a forbidden, because some of these bimini eggs, like, I wouldn't mind cracking, but not all of them. What I could probably try to do is to queue 2 up to be cracked, And then just keep a very close eye into which two we grab. So like Sean, for instance, grabbed, actually, I don't know. Yeah, he grabbed a 24% here. And I'll just like keep watching to make sure that it doesn't grab one that is newer. So this egg, nope, that's the plant. This egg is the 69. Let's see if I can't move them to pick up a different one. Stop grabbing it so quick. God, I can't even see it. Alright, so you picked up that one. And this one was a 6. Okay. That 6 is fine. No, you just picked up phosphorite. That's not what I wanted you to do. Go back to egg cracking. No, that's not egg cracking. No, Matic, leave that alone. There we go. Alright, those are the two Bimini eggs that I wanted to remove. There really needs to be a better way for me to do this in the future. So now they're no longer cramped, at least. I'm surprised the oxygen tank is not more full yet. It looks like I'm going to switch pumps because the carbon dioxide is getting a little pressurized. New blueprint. Refined iron works for me. I'm not even going to really consider printing a duplicate, even if they're amazing, until we actually have space for more duplicates. I know that like more duplicates would mean work would get done faster, but it also means that there's more, you know, food needs and more clothing needs and more bedding needs, and you know, so more duplicates is great and all, but like it's not always just a pure net benefit. But we're already about, I don't know, like a third excavated or something. It's getting there. I'm not envious of the sweeping, though. Sweeping's going to be annoying. I'm actually relatively surprised that the carbon dioxide is not overpressured to the point where they can't move it anymore. Huh. So the only issue with the sweepy dock is it requires a lot of power. So that would be one big no-no, is everything that I'm running right now is really low power needs to run efficiently and cheaply. And then also, it's not necessarily flat. It's not flat here. So yeah, hypothetically, I could put a sweepy dock here with like an auto sweeper that dumps things to like a pit. That would be a very good solution. But it is a powered solution. I mean, I don't know. I might consider it. It just dramatically increases our power usage, which is something I'm avoiding to do because I don't really have a good way to deal with the heat that power produces. Because I mean, that's essentially like a rule of thumb in Oxygen Not Included, is like, if you want to use power, power produces heat, and then you have to deal with the heat. So I'm trying not to give myself more work by taking shortcuts. Dog treats, sure thing. Alright, our wood is holding steady, I would say. We were at 3,100 at the start. We're still at about 3,100. So that's another thing, is the power that we're producing is powered by wood, and I really don't have an infinite supply of wood. I have a renewable source of wood, but it's not a lot. It's not enough to power up a whole lot of stuff. You know, so if we wanted to start running more complex machinery that requires more power needs, we would A, require more of a power backbone within the base, because as it stands now, we don't actually have a lot of power infrastructure, and then B, somewhere to like deal with it. And we would probably want to switch over to, I would imagine, ethanol from the materials that we've been using now. Because I think the map tile obviously has a lot more ethanol than it does wood. And it's more of a, it's a more power dense material as well. So I'm not that eager in scaling up our power usage until I have ethanol infrastructure. I think jumping the gun would be a bad idea. If that makes sense. I hope I've justified a decent answer for you. You once had a colony running on 2 lubricants running on the wheels all day long? Yeah, I mean, it's also one way to get their athleticism really, really high. And if they have a passion for, like, athletics, it's workable, for sure. So the research we're working on right now is the advanced power regulation. So I was just actually talking about ethanol, and you can have the you can use ethanol as a power source, and then you can also there's a bunch of things you can do with it, but that would be one probably future thing to do, is to take this ethanol and combust it. Oh, that's weird. It's like, here's a property, combustible liquid. It's like, but there's no entry, so don't click that. You can see all the combustible liquids here, in fact. Or rather, all the liquids. These aren't all necessarily combustible. So, ethanol distiller. So, it takes twice as much wood to make a, so if you try to distill ethanol from wood, which I don't think we would necessarily do, half of it becomes ethanol, and then, you know, the rest becomes byproduct of polluted dirt and carbon dioxide. Got it. Ooh, decayed. Well, Operation Dig-A-Bit is coming underway. We're gonna run into a little bit of problems here because of this gap. Oops. I think what I'll do is I'll just start excavating this section, and then I'll traverse here to dig away at this from below, and then use ladders as little as possible to avoid having to build a huge ladder infrastructure for it. Ooh, I don't think we topped up our wood. Battery's dead. That's okay. I'm gonna stop trying to fill the oxygen tank, because I think it's using up a bit too much of our power. I'm the only reason you know which time zone you're in? That's funny. Well, welcome to the stream, and thank you for the bits, Turtle. Alright, so we just got advanced power regulation. I had mentioned potentially wanting radiant pipes for the water that we have. So I'll get one of those as well. Looks like the Alvera is doing a pretty good job converting this carbon dioxide back over. What's our... Oh, wow. We have 19 tons of oxalite. That's a lot of oxalite. My bin's almost full. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of oxalite. And that's just from, you know, converting carbon dioxide. 19.2 tons. Yes. Thank you, Alveovera. You are doing wonders. Have a second bin up in the upper liquid lock? Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was thinking. Because we're gonna otherwise completely run out of room to store oxalite for it not to, you know, outgas. Which, you know, I'm aiming to avoid. What a fun problem to have. Yeah, oxygen now included and in bulk. Alright, so we'll copy this setting, paste it here, and then lower its priority by 1. So that this is the primary oxalite, and then this is the ancillary oxalite. That's a fun term to say, ancillary oxalite. So this is the geyser here, and I'll dig under it. Just leaving enough... I mean, I know I can leave fewer stones than this, but just leaving a little bit of stone here to keep it from creating slush immediately. Looking good. You're cramped again, aren't you? No, you are not. One more egg to be cramped. Well, we have almost all the phlox eggs we need. I think the... there it is. These phlox eggs brings our secondary ranch up to 7. And then I'm going to want to close that door so that the phlox can't just, like, escape. I don't know why it was... It was forced open originally because it was a farm. And it's obviously not going to be a farm anymore. Why is Frozen easier than the base game? It's not supposed to necessarily be harder, just different. That would be my argument. Ooh, a Drecklet. I don't think Drecklets can survive. I mean, Drecklets... They're probably not good for this temperature. Even though trying to get glossy Drecklets would be, great. So Drecos. Livable, comfortable. So you're comfortable at 10 Celsius. Because the reason I'm interested is the Glaciers, of course, produce plastics. And I don't have an easy way to get plastics without petroleum processing, which, you know, is... But, I just don't think that there's a way for me to... So there's a bunch of problems trying to do Drecos at all. And I wouldn't be able to overcome that. I don't have their food to graze on. I don't have hydrogen so that their fibers regrow. So I think I'm just gonna kill this one. It's something that I could potentially work towards in the future, is to have a potential Dreco ranch that's, like, heated with the plants that they eat, and, you know, hydrogen or whatever, but I don't have that, so that's not gonna happen anytime soon. So Dreco becomes barbecue, exactly. Well, Matic is doing a wonderful job excavating this whole area. We're getting pretty close to being done. Clearly the geyser's eruption period would be right now. It's rumbling. I'm not even farming anymore, and my kcals are just, like, completely going in the wrong direction. I am going to temporarily stop pineapple skewers, and only focus on barbecue and omelets. Yes, if you just tuned in, this space is going to be used for water storage, and then it's also going to be used for added living quarters. I am scaling up a lot. Oh boy. I thought he was going to drop himself. Now that we have a little bit more labor in the labor pool, I can consider expanding our actual base a lot more so that it can be, like, more grand. Something to be additionally proud of. I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot of excavation first, and then eventually we'll get to... Yeah, flop. We'll get to actually start to build. So I think what I'll do is I'll have the external tile here. This... I'm just going to trim a little bit of the abyss light. So this is going to be the outer... the outer vacuum wall. So as you can see, I'm considering adding quite a bit of space. And in fact, I might start it up here. And then have it drop down just for a little bit more room to build into. I'm gonna leave that a void. I don't really care about that. And then leave some space around the geyser to not crowd the geyser necessarily. So have a ladder like that. Would placing a heat generating power plant near the water storage be a good idea to keep things toasty? So, yes and no. One of the issues of just letting the ambient heat of a heat generator is eventually it's going to produce enough heat that that will become a problem in its own right. So if let's say we have a really large power plant, like, next to the water, and you don't use plumbing or some other way to control the amount of heat that the water is introduced into, you could very well just end up boiling your water. What you're doing is you're creating a problem that might be, or you're creating a situation that might become a problem much later on, is probably the more elegant way to put it. So, to that end, I'm trying to come up with a solution that I can keep the heat and the water separate and control the amount of heat that goes into the water, so that then once the water is, like, temperate, once the water is room temperature, which makes it very useful for, like, air conditioning, and makes it very useful for happy dupes in comfortable living conditions, then I can stop introducing the heat into the water and instead introduce the heat, reroute it with plumbing to either dump its heat to carbon dioxide that gets gassed out to space, or to a ATEN, you know, a thermal nullifier, because I already saw a thermal nullifier around here somewhere, I think. Maybe I didn't. But ATENs should be all over the place for this map, I suspect. So there's a lot of different ways to deal with the heat, but yeah, I don't want to create a situation where it's a ticking time bomb that I'll have to correct sometime down the line, if that makes sense. That's going to be annoying. I'll capture that granite. So this will be the outer vacuum wall, and then this will be the slush water capture, where we can, we'll have a renewable source of water if we want. I mean, of course, most of this map is like ice, but this water might be warmer. I'm actually not even sure the temperature comes out at. I wonder if I can look that up. Cool slush geyser. Cool, thanks. It doesn't really tell me. What I was hoping to do is figure out its, like, typical water range, and it just tells me absolutely nothing. Alright, keep your secrets then. Heat is a slow and insidious killer. It is. It really is. All right, long commutes. Yeah, I know. These commutes suck. I'm okay with that. All right, breathability in the living quarters is pretty good. I think we're actually clearing some of the carbon dioxide, which is interesting. All right, kcal's just surpassed. We're like pushing towards 250,000, which is a lot. And the space is almost excavated. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included, the Frosty Planet, which originally streamed live on Twitch August 8th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow duplicates.